We have the bottom line measurements, which are the absolute measurement, like, for example, net profit. By the way, don't misunderstand me. The way that we calculate today net profit, in my eyes, is utterly wrong. But at least we have the right measurement in the direction, net profit, an absolute measurement. We have on top of it another measurement, which is a relative measurement, and we need both of them. For example, if I'll tell you that a company is doing $1 million net profit, is it good or bad? Depends. If it's a very small company, why not? It's very nice. If it's GM and all of GM is doing $1 million net profit, that's very lousy. Are you with me? So we need to have the relative measure as well. And many, many companies have forgot it, but there is a third measurement, which is cash. And that's an on-off measurement, and the best way to show it is the following. Everybody in industry have learned in the hard way. You have enough cash flow is not important at all. You don't have enough cash flow, nothing else is important. You simply go out of business. Which means it's a on-off measurement. And in this aspect we are quite okay. The problem lies in the fact that these bottom line measurements are totally ineffective in judging actions. If I'm talking about a specific action, I must know whether or not this specific action will improve the performance of the whole organization or will work in the other direction. Now let me take you an example. I want to release a batch into the floor. And I have a question. Shall I release a batch of 5, 50, 500? What will be the impact of releasing this batch on the entire profitability of the whole conglomerate? Do you think that they can use net profit or ROI? I have a problem of judging. Or an engineer comes back from an exhibition and he saw a beautiful machine with a robot and a computer inside. He's dying to put his hands on it. What will be the impact on the bottom line of the whole company? What do we do? Or a client is calling you and say, okay, I'm willing to place this order for this part, but I want this price. Should we accept the order or not? What will be the impact on the bottom line? We must have a bridge to bridge between the actions and the bottom line. Otherwise, if we don't have a bridge, we are shooting in the dark. Do you understand it? You understand how much a bridge is important? Without a bridge, every action that you're taking, pray. Okay? So maybe we are very religious people, but we don't expect that God will have such dedication to us to guide us in every direction, right? What do we use today as a bridge? Answer. Come on.
Cost minimization.
Excuse me?
Cost minimization.
The cost concept. The cost concept is used in all these areas and much more. And we have developed procedure for every type of action based on the cost concept. Let me show you. For example, EOQ. In other words, what's the batch to release? What do we say there? How do we approach it? Come on, you're PhD students. Minimize cost. Right? We're saying, okay, if we enlarge the batch, the cost per item goes down because I'm spreading the cost of setup on more items. On the other hand, when I'm enlarging the batch, I'm enlarging the lead time, and because of it, my carrying cost goes up. So I'm looking for an optimum. And what do I say? Minimum cost equals maximum net profit. So I'm combining now the specific action to the bottom line. Or, if I'm taking the example of buying a machine, how do I do it today? How do I decide today? Come on. Return on investment. In other words, what do? I'm saying, okay, how many parts am I going to do with this new machine? How many minutes am I going to save per each part? And then I'll calculate the cost of these minutes. As if the minutes cost me money, people cost me money, by the way. And by the way, if you buy a new machine and you don't fire anybody, what is the cost reduction? I failed to see, but I've reduced the minutes on these parts, and I'll multiply, of course, by the overhead, and then I'll compare it to the price of the machine, and I'll see what is the return on investment. A decade ago, 10 years ago, 3 years return on investment was excellent. Today it's already 2 years. Okay? And shrinking down. Simply because somehow this all cost reduction do not materialize at the bottom line. We notice that the first example, the procedure was aimed to net profit. In the second example, the procedure was aimed into return on investment. and nobody pay attention to it? Hello. Or if I'm looking on, shall I accept the order or not? What do? I'm taking the material cost, and then I'm taking the direct labor cost, and then in this I will do extremely well. Did you learn time and motion studies and all of this? Okay. So it's 3.52 minutes, and then I'll multiply by a fudge factor out of the blue for the overhead, and then I'm getting the cost to produce, and I want my margins, and I'll compare it to what the market is offering, and that's why I'll make the decision. See, that's another procedure. But all these procedures are based on the same thing, the concept of cost, which is local optimum. Now, in every plant that you go, you will see that basically the bridge is not as simple as that. The bridge is composed out of the cost procedures, but also a lot of intuition. The batch is 500. Now expedite 3 parts. Split and overlap immediately because I need to ship it out. Everywhere the batches are splitted and expedited. The only time that you see that the batch is obeyed is when it's released to the floor. After 1 or 2 operations, bingo, the splitting starting. The first time that I've seen it was in Sikorsky, and they were making such a fuss about the batch should be 30 and so on and so on. Then I said, do you know what? We'll run you a simulation. What will happen if we force this software to obey 30, or if we allow him to do the automatic splitting and overlapping? But we got the information, and then I went back and asked him, where is a batch of 30? I'm looking on the inventory as of certain dates that you told me, and I don't see any 30. I see 5, and I see 47, and I don't see any 30. The 30 exists only in the computer, but not on the floor. If I'm looking on buying the machines, how many times have you seen in industry, this machine is cost justifiable to buy it? Don't, leave me alone. I don't want to buy it. Or, it's not cost justifiable and buy it immediately, otherwise we cannot respond to the market. Or, don't accept the order. The margin is not big enough. Accept it, I don't have work to my workers. The cost recommendations are overridden right, left, and center all the time. What does it mean? The costs are wrong. Very simply. If the costs were right, we wouldn't have to override it. The extent to which we override it showed us that if we have to use intuition so much, the cost is simply wrong. So we'll better start to find out why and what to replace it. Are you with me? Do you have the courage to do it?